Hey, what's up, everybody? Back with another NBA breakdown for today, Thursday, January 13th. So this week has been very rough for me on the betting side of things, but was just doing a lot of thinking last night. And here's the deal: my picks may suck from time to time. Obviously, I'm on a massive cold streak right now, and spent a ton of time today just backing up and trying to figure out what I'm missing, figure out what things I'm weighting too heavily, and what things I'm not considering. Probably going to be lighter on picks for a little while, but I'm pretty confident that the analysis and the numbers that I'm putting out there are legit. And my hope is that you're able to get some stuff out of that that goes with other things you're looking at. And it's helping you make better picks than I'm making. So I'm confident over time we'll get it straightened out and make a comeback in terms of the picks themselves. But want to keep getting this content out for you. Today is a short slate. We just have 5 games. And also, I spent a lot of the morning today, quite a few hours, just going through and looking at trends from Christmas to now. So basically the last 7 to 10 games for most teams. And I'm going to have a video out later today. It's only going to be on my YouTube channel or on the podcast. I will not be streaming that. But I think there's a ton of good info on there. And if you watch that video, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get my whole breakdown of all those trends sent to you as well. So make sure that you're subscribed on the YouTube channel, or it's all in my profile on Twitter, the links to the YouTube channel and the podcast. Still trying to get it up on Apple Podcasts and Google. Those things are pending, so hopefully coming soon. All right, all that said, let's do a quick walkthrough of the 5 games we've got for today and see if we can find any good spots and what we got. Got the Nuggets hat. They don't deserve for me to wear their hat lately, but we're going to get to them last. First game up, we're going to talk about Golden State and Milwaukee. This is really a battle of 2 ailing contenders. Golden State's still going to be without Draymond Green, and honestly, that is a massive deal for them. It hurts them significantly on defense, puts them down one of the guys who would probably be primarily responsible for guarding Giannis in this game. And so in this matchup specifically, it's really bad as well, and it puts a lot of pressure on all the rest of the guys on defense. And it hurts them offensively, too. Draymond is the point forward. He's the one who is creating space, making passes, watching for people cutting, hitting Steph or Clay right in the right spot for them to be able to make those threes. So it's a big deal that Draymond's out here. Went over the numbers specifically last time of how their offensive and defensive ratings change with him out, but it's just not good either way with him gone. On the Milwaukee side, we're still going to be without Drew Holiday and also without Hill. So they're down some perimeter defenders. They do have some guys back, and they should be able to cover okay. But Golden State is not a team where you want to be down any perimeter defenders. Obviously, Clay and Steph, but Peyton, Wiggins, they've got other guys who can hit threes. And we talked about how Golden State's slump lately has really been due to poor three-point shooting, under 30% in a number of games recently. In their last game, it came back up to 36.1. So hopefully they've gotten that straightened out a little bit and are going to be, I think if they get that straightened out, they're going to start scoring a lot more. Having Clay in the fold now, slowly ramping up his minutes, that's going to make a big difference. And they did shoot, I don't know if I said that. They shot 36.1% from 3-point range last game. I get distracted when I get a email bing and I have to close that out. So if I repeated myself, I apologize. Milwaukee has given up 113 points or more in their last 3 at home, and Golden State in 2 of their last 4 away, the 2 where they played decent offenses, Memphis and Utah, they gave up 116 in those 2 games. So there is a little bit of track record here for both of these teams giving up points, and they're both missing a solid defender in Green and in Holiday. So in terms of which way, I don't have any bets, and again, my picks haven't been great lately anyway, but the trends here favor the under pretty strongly. And I could see, especially if this was a week ago, thinking that the under was really strong. It feels a little bit less strong to me because of the guys who are out and because of the way Golden State might be coming around on offense some. I don't trust Milwaukee a lot right now. I feel like when they have any pieces out, they really struggle. I do think Giannis could have a big game here, but this one, to me, is likely to kind of be back and forth. It's another one I put in that watch it live bucket, see what I could get, even try to create a middle between these 2 teams. But I don't have a strong lean because I think both teams have issues coming into this game, but both teams have great potential as well. Next game up is the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are absolutely on fire. Man, this is a team that honestly you don't want to miss watching their games right now. John Morant, I mean, I've said it before, I'll eat crow on John Morant. I was not pumped when he came back from his time off, but he has been the most electric player in the NBA lately. And I think he's stepping up and showing a lot of leadership. He's playing hard on defense. He's giving the team a ton of energy. And so I actually think that this is a phenomenal team, and Ja's making them even better. It's great that recently they've been able to hold up a little bit more on defense. I still think, maybe they're going to play faster and give up some more points when Ja plays, but he easily makes up for it on the offensive end. So Memphis has scored 110 or more in 9 of their last 10 games. So they're scoring like crazy. And if you've watched them, you know that that's the case. Minnesota, one of the interesting things I found is that their last 3 games have been really different than the games before that. They've played a lot faster, scored a lot more points. They just had that barn burner with New Orleans where Ingram hit the 3 at the end where I needed overtime, but we won't go into that. So they've scored 30 points or more in 11 of the last 12 quarters they've played. And granted, that's not against great defensive teams, but Memphis is giving up a decent number of points lately because they're playing so fast. Both of these teams are running at over 100 pace right now. And I think the only way this total, well, 2 ways this total doesn't go over. One of them is one of these teams decides to slow it down. They think that that's their pathway to victory. I can't see it being Memphis. Potentially it could be Minnesota, but Minnesota's not good when they slow it down. So I think both these teams continue to play fast. The other way this total stays under is if one of the teams has a really bad game shooting. They're going to create enough opportunities that if they shoot decent and this game stays close, we're talking about a game that's, 115 plus. And I think the total's around 231 right now. So it's a total I maybe will watch live. I may consider taking it ahead of time. When you look at the trends for this game, the trends lean toward Memphis and the over. So that's another thing leaning in that direction. I think this one's going to be a trap meet. I think it's going to be super fun. Another way that you could approach this is just to play the over in each quarter one at a time. So that way, if one of the teams has a bad quarter and it kills the over for the whole game, you don't lose all your bets. So that's another thing I'm going to consider is just playing the over a quarter at a time in this game. Next game up is the Clippers and the Pelicans. The Clippers, where did I have this written down? They scored 28 points in the first half against the Denver Nuggets in their last game. They still won the freaking game, which is crazy. And of course, I had a bet on Denver. So that sucked. But Denver sucks in the second half, which we're going to get to. But part of my point there is to say the Clippers are on really sketchy ground offensively. They have so few options to go to. I mean, once in a while, Bledsoe can do okay. Once in a while, Jackson is all right. Amir Coffey has been playing pretty well lately. Morris can get a little bit of offense going, but all of those guys really should be role players, and they're being asked to take on a heavier load than just being role players. So this is a team that periodically will score over 110 points, but it really is periodically. It's much more likely they're going to struggle on offense than they're going to just crush on offense. They only score 103.9 points per game away from home this year. That actually is a little bit better than what they do at home. And so we do want to keep that in mind that, on average, they're better away. The Pelicans on the other side, they score 108.4 points at home, which is better for them than away. And I think the Pelicans are potentially a team that's one to watch in the next few weeks here. Now, I could look stupid saying that because they certainly haven't been a great team. But when you read about what's going on in the locker room there, it all sounds really positive. Like they're coming together as a team. They believe in how good they can be. They see some of their young guys like Herbert Jones really stepping up. And when you start to look at their roster now, a roster that didn't look good earlier in the year is starting to look kind of decent. I think this is a good spot for Jonas Valanciunas too. It's important for him to have good games for the Pelicans. And he's going against Zubac, who's been terrible a lot lately and isn't an athletic big man he's more of a traditional big who Valanciunas should be able to dominate, quite honestly. And so I think the Pelicans have the matchup advantages across the board here. And I don't know where the Clippers are really going to turn for offense. These teams do play relatively slow at times. The Pelicans have been up and down in terms of pace, but that's the one thing that would make me concerned about the over here. And honestly, if I was going to play an over, I would consider the Pelicans team total over because I don't trust the Clippers to score. They could, but I don't trust it. Um, in terms of the spread here, the trends lean toward the Pelicans and the under. Like I said, I can understand why someone would want to be on the under here. Both of these teams at times don't score many points. I do like the Pelicans here, and I don't have a bet on it, but what I'm a little nervous of is I'm not having too much recency bias just because they played well against Minnesota. Obviously, one game is never something you want to put too much stock in. But I just think looking at the bigger trend, this is a team that actually has some pieces. I think they could legitimately be decent for the rest of the year. Playoffs, I don't know. I think I heard they're only like 2 games out of the last play-in spot. So it is actually a possibility for them. And I like where they're headed. Next game up is Oklahoma City and Brooklyn. Brooklyn absolutely torched Chicago last night. But we need to take that with a little bit of grain of salt because Brooklyn lately has been a different team at home and away. And you could definitely attribute a lot of that to the fact that Kyrie Irving is only playing in away games. But they are scoring like crazy when they play away from home. When they play away. But at home, here in their last 8 games or so, they've only scored 113 or less in every single game at home. Like they're just not scoring tons and tons of points. Claxton could be out tonight. Aldridge could still be out tonight. And obviously we have no Kyrie. Now on the other side, you have Oklahoma City, who averages 97.8 points a game away from home. They're not going to score either. And obviously we have to take that into account. But the other thing with Brooklyn, they have the shortest odds to win the championship. And you can kind of understand why when you see how they played against Chicago last night. But at home, they have not been that team lately either. Maybe eventually they will be. But they're allowing 110 plus at home every game right now. Well, can Oklahoma City get up to 110 plus? I don't know. But when you look back at their last 9, they've scored under 104 out of those 9, but they've scored over 110 in 5 out of those 9. So they're not scoring in the middle much. They either don't score at all or they score decent. So I think based on the way these teams have played and the percentages here, I don't think it's crazy to think that Oklahoma City is going to be able to score here and kind of hang in the game. The trends lean toward Oklahoma City and the over as well. Now, this one is a little bit risky because I think if Oklahoma City doesn't show up offensively and they put up 96 points, I don't think this total is going over. I think it's like 216 or 218. But if they do show up and put up close to that 110, yeah, this total's going over, right? So I don't think the over is a terrible spot here. Again, see what you think, what other stuff you want to look at, but those are the things that I'm seeing. Last game of the day here is the Trailblazers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets have been completely uninspiring lately. They have crashed and burned almost every game. They've been completely atrocious in the second half. In their last 8, they've scored under 55 points in all 8 in the second half, and they're 0-8 in the second half of those games. So many times, and the Clippers was an example of this, they'll get out and play decent in the first half. They're winning in the first half 75% of the time since Christmas. So they are getting out to a lead a lot, and then they just absolutely implode. So Portland today is without Anthony Simons on top of McCollum and Lillard and all the other guys they've got out. It's basically down to Nurkic and then some role-playing shooters like Little and McLemore and maybe Covington. So this could be a big spot for Nurkic. I mean, he's going to have to carry them if they do anything. And this is a spot where Denver really should roll, but I'm over trusting them, especially in the second half. The trends do lean toward Denver and the over, but again, I'm just not going there until I see something change. So if anything here, I would consider Denver in the first half. The spread for the game is like 10.5. Let me see if I've got they don't have a first half lineup where I'm looking. But if Denver's minus, 5.5, 6.5, maybe you kind of consider that because if they're going to win decisively somewhere in the game, it's probably going to be in the first half. And then you might even look for the comeback on Portland in the second half. In terms of the total, it's hard to know how much Portland's going to be able to score. They do still have guys who can get hot from 3. So I'm not saying it's impossible they can score, but Denver's so up and down scoring the basketball too, that it's just I don't want to trust them either way. So I'm probably staying off the totals here. I mean, honestly, I'll probably stay off this game as a whole, but would consider Denver in the first half. All right, that's the 5 games for today. Hopefully some information in there that's helpful to you as you're making your decisions. Again, do keep an eye out on YouTube. I'll probably post a link on Twitter, but on YouTube and on the podcast for a whole podcast just devoted to trends for all the teams since Christmas. I think there's some really interesting ones out there that could help us making decisions here over the next week or two. So follow me at NBA Attack on Twitter, and I will see you there. Have a good day.